This, for people that don't know, Josh, the few that don't know, Josh Rayner runs Rayner Personnel, the fantastic recruitment organisation, and I'm guessing it's quite a busy time for you, isn't it, Josh?
Yeah, it's been mental, especially this last week with the green light from the government. We've seen lots of jobs return to the market. We've actually made over 6 placements so far this week, which has been great. We only got the obviously green light last Friday, so I think lots of agents have gone full out and put up their screens and tape around the offices, which is brilliant to see. I think the majority of the agents are looking to return back to work on the 1st of June. So yeah, it's been a bit crazy the last couple of days.
Mm. Are you able to gauge at all? Obviously, a lot of agents furloughed a lot of staff. I think it's fair to say that not all of those furloughed staff will be running, though. Are you able to gauge in terms of percentages what people have returned back to work with at the moment? You know, are they back there with like 70% staff, 80% staff? And also, what percentage of staff on average do you think they're letting go? Have you got those sort of figures, or can make a guesstimate?
So speaking to clients of all different sizes, from corporates down to one office independents, a lot of people are bringing back managers and listers initially, and then looking to bring back more and more people week after week. But it seems to be sort of 2 people at the moment per branch, but they're reviewing that constantly to enable a full workforce to come back. In regards to percentages, I think it's unclear on who's going to come back and when, but I think the market will be the deciding factor to that question.
Okay, interesting. Okay, well, shall we hand it across to you then?
Yes, please.
I think you've got some information you'd like to share with us, haven't you?
Yeah, I like to bore people for the next 25 minutes, so apologies, everyone. So I just want to kick off with what the industry is going to look like. So in my opinion, the industry's all about people. Of course, I'm going to say that I'm a recruiter, but whether you're an estate agent or a recruiter, we obviously specialise in people, and our commodity is people. So during lockdown, I ran 2 property pulse polls, and that's a bit of a mouthful, to really get understanding of how people are feeling. What's the mood of the industry? Never in 100 years have we ever been put into a deep freeze or a play where we're at the moment, which is a big pause button, so to speak. So it's really important for me, with my commodity being people, to understand how people are feeling. So I just want to share the results. Most of you have probably seen the results over the trade press on Monday. But what was fascinating for me was that 67% of business owners see or perceive no change, yet less than 30% of employees take the same view. So there's a massive disconnect there, and that is something that's really going to affect our industry. I don't know what you think on that, guys. You're obviously both connected to the industry. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
In terms of what appears in the press and what we see in reality?
Yeah, I guess what people are business owners are quite happy, and they think nothing's going to change, and most of their workforce won't change. So how's that going to affect the industry?
It's a tough one. I think a lot of people are going to sort of get used to doing things quite differently in terms of where they work from. But I think for most agents that I'm speaking to that have gone back to work already, one of the things that they're experiencing is that as much as it's nice to work from home in your pajamas, once you get back into that office, you somehow feel like you're finally fighting without one arm tied behind your back, kind of thing. You've got all the resources at your fingertips. So I think at least for majority of high street agents I speak to, I think they're still going to be looking at staffing those offices, and they're going to need the staff to do that, aren't they?
Yeah, clearly. But I think, in my opinion as well, initially I thought that disconnect was around communication. So I spoke to lots of different candidates, and they're saying, well, I've never heard from my employer the whole time during COVID-19, or they haven't been topping up my salary, or they don't know what they're being paid until they get their pay slip. So I thought that was the initial issue. I
sent my staff WhatsApp messages, mostly videos and memes. So, they know that I was okay.
I've been on 80 ones though, Minty.
That
Well,
one.
they definitely won't be returning. I think there's a real issue around it's not just the communication. I thought initially it was, but I think there's a real heady cocktail around communication, but aspiration as well. And people have actually had 8-9 weeks to really evaluate what's important to them. So again, even in my own life, when I'm leaving the house at 5:30 in the morning, not getting back till 7:30, 8 o'clock, do I need to do that Monday to Friday every single week? So I think, again, having that step back, you kind of realise what's really important to you. So I think that's really, from my point of view, why people are considering change.
And that's being reiterated by all the candidates that are coming to you as well, is it? I mean, we were talking to Charlotte earlier from the Able Agent, and we were talking about how everyone's going to want to have more flexibility, but also millennials are well known for this kind of being like almost high maintenance. They want to have more flexible working hours. They want to they want training and development, which is what they're talking about there. But really, that's just that's just reinforcing what's going to be happening following on from this COVID stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there needs to be some change. I mean, our industry is typically worked Monday to Friday, every other weekend or every weekend, and I think that needs to change. There's lots of companies prior to COVID-19 that are embracing flexible working, but I think after COVID-19, that's going to change completely. We're going to have more of a home workforce. I think that's kind of important to people more and more than it ever has been. So yeah, I think that would definitely change, and companies need to look at that. And that kind of brings me into my next point, which is company culture. So the best candidates, in my experience, that I speak to, don't just move for the dollars; they actually move for company culture. And during this time, it'd be great if clients can showcase their company culture, because the first thing they do is ask a friend, what's Joe Bloggs down the road like to work for? But also, when the lights are off and one evening they're doing their research online, they want to see what kind of your company culture is like. So again, looking at your Glassdoor reviews, more and more people are saying, Josh, I'm not going to touch them companies that have got really bad reviews online, not interested. But again, how do you celebrate? What is your company culture, I guess? Because it has to come from your leadership team or the business owner. And how do you showcase that? Because that is going to be a big factor in attracting good people to your business. And I think COVID-19 is going to be about collaboration, but you're going to have the best players on the pitch and scoring goals really quickly to get that pipeline back up again, to start making some revenue.
Just on that point, Josh, as a total aside, you mentioned Glassdoor there, the essentially the review site on employment. Is Glassdoor a positive for a recruiter, or a negative for a recruiter, or is it broadly neutral? Is it a pain in the neck for you?
It's not a pain in the neck, but I think transparency is good. And I always say to people, look, do your research on the company you're going for interview with. That's going to the office before you turn up for interview. How long does it take in traffic to get there? Find out where the local car park is, all that kind of stuff. And part of that research is, look, find out as much about that company, because guess what? The first question the employer is going to ask you, or the potential employer is going to ask you, is, what do you know about us? Look, I embrace Glassdoor, but I think agents, like they have before with their own reviews, have sort of said, we'll pick that up eventually. But it's really important. If we're a people's business, we need to make sure that our reviews on there are strong and they're showcasing the good bits about what we're about.
And your point about culture is absolutely spot on as well. So many people, you'll see on the walls of their offices, we value our clients, we value our staff first and foremost. And then, as you said, the minute that the lockdown happened, they furloughed their staff, and then if they were lucky, and didn't hear from them again, did they? So culture is about how you act, not what about what you say, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, look, as part of that, there's going to be lots of things that agents need to do, but the model's going to change. I don't know what you guys obviously speak to lots of different agents on a regular basis too. Let's talk about the different models. So you've got the corporates, and there was some great press this morning in Property Industry Eye about Connells. And to be fair, they've done a really good job of helping their people and keeping them happy. And they're going to be on the high street forever. They've got their business. It's a big ocean liner. And it's doing very well. You can only look at their results to know that. And they're going to be on the high street. You've got the traditional high streets where there's always going to be a place for them on the high street, but they're also looking at different models. So we obviously know our good friend Sean Newman. You've got Keller Williams, you've got EXP, you've got lots of different models coming to market. They're often this hub and spoke model. And again, I think the rise of that self-employment is going to change. I'm not saying it's right for everyone, but there's definitely going to be more and more popular, especially after the.
When you present that back to, let's say, a traditional agent, candidate,
yeah.
Again, in terms of percentage terms, what percentage of those find it attractive, and how, I suppose, how many more of them do you need to explain a little bit more about?
So prior to COVID-19, probably 25% of our candidates were interested in self-employed, because the one thing about salespeople, including myself, is we love spending money. We love making it, but we like to spend it even quicker. So they haven't got that war chest to be able to set up a new business. So it only appeals to them central ones, and clearly I'm not one of them, that's got enough reserves in the bank to be able to make it work. I think after COVID-19, we'll probably follow similar suit to FS, whereby everyone was employed initially, and slowly 50% of the workforce is now self-employed. So I see that growing. I don't think that the education has been done by Purple Bricks and other big organisations about the self-employment and how it works. So that kind of cost has now been spent. It's now about what do they want to do. And I spoke to a candidate yesterday, and they said, well, if you was any good, if you're bad at your job, you get fired. So if you went self-employed, you just won't make any money. What's the difference? If your employer hasn't really looked after you, what's the difference of being employed or self-employed? So I think that's a real big debate, probably for another time, about what people do in the future. But I definitely think there'll be some companies that won't do anything at all, stay into business, that won't change at all. Guess what? It's going to be back to business on the 1st of June, and nothing's going to change. I think there'll be lots of independents that adapt into a hub and spoke operation. There'll be lots that still keep people employed, and maybe they change the basic salary and commission deal around. Maybe that's a higher basic salary and a lower commission, or it's a lower basic and a higher commission. I think people will be looking at that.
So, Josh, I mean, you're obviously dealing with quite a range of different clientele, both on the sort of a candidate side of things and also the people that are recruiting directly. And as we know from being agents, everything that we do, we work at risk really until we find we achieve a result for our client. I'm presuming that is pretty much the same for recruiters as well, knowing that this industry is not short of a few sharks here and there. How do you ensure that you get paid properly?
Good question. So we charge similar to agents really. It's a no win, no fee, typically contingency based recruitment solution. We take the job spec after find a person, and then we fill the person. I should just throw me in time with your comment. Sorry. We then fill the job. And yes, look, we do have a percentage of people that do not pay, and we have to take legal action, unfortunately.
So legal action is the best course of getting there. I know, because obviously there's that propensity for people to sort of cut you out of the loop, is there not?
Yeah, definitely. We get the odd agent trying it on, which is quite amusing, especially when the internet's here, so we can do loads of different things to do our due diligence. But I've made this my new motto, which is, I don't know if you've read the book The Legends, which is by the All Blacks. And it's the big saying that I've taken from that during lockdown is, I'm not dealing with any more dickheads. So from now on, I want to deal with clients that are going to pay their fees.
You're on the Kerfuffle webinar, so
he's on the wrong show. He's on the wrong show.
So yeah, you've got to deal with the right people.
Okay, so it's a lot about trust as well. And so how in depth do you tend to get with the candidates? Do you spend a lot of time talking to them and finding out their background, what they want, where they want to go?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the biggest points for us. So it's okay going through their CV, which any Tom, Dick and Harry can do, but it's actually finding out what drives them, what motivates them. And like I said, it's not necessarily about the dollars they're looking for. It's about career progression, and it's about the people they actually want to work with. So that's a massive point. We also go into psychometric profiling of the person. So we psychometric profile the job and the actual MD of that company, and we actually then match up candidates to that particular job. And we found out that 96% of the people that we do that for actually stay for a minimum of 12 months. Whereas as salespeople, as well as I do, you can start them and it's down to them really to crack on, and it's probably a 50-50 chance. So we do lots of different things with different clients, depending on what their needs are.
Interesting. So how long have you been doing this for?
Sadly, since I was 17, I'm now 33, so 13, 14 years. Did it a long time, and again worked up from running a desk. I still place myself, so I'm still very much hands-on. We've obviously got a franchise network and licensed network that run alongside each other as well, that are local people that live in the local area, that know the agents and know the people, if that makes sense. So that's always slightly different. I think we've got about 450 years combined of expertise in the property sector. So it's a little bit different from most of our competitors, which gives that competitive edge.
And one of the questions that everyone's going to be asking, obviously, there's a lot of people that are changing, or thinking of changing their mind. They've had a lot of time to do some thinking. So they may be wanting to change routes to a particular career, or they may be wanting to change that particular career path themselves. Has the market become better in terms of wages likely to be paid in our sector, or is it? Are you seeing that new recruiters are sort of aiming low?
Is the question, are clients increasing their salaries post-lockdown? No, is the answer at the moment. So as an industry, we've always paid crap basic salaries, and guess what? In return, we've got crap agents. So something that needs to change is increasing our salaries. I think if you placed a junior neg on 15 grand a year, 16 grand a year, they're probably going more in Tesco's, and that gives you an idea of the people we're getting. We always blame it's somebody else's fault. Well, if you pay the right person the right money, guess what? You'll get a quality person. So I think we need to change the way we do that, and I don't think that's going to happen overnight. I think that actually the only way that agents are going to do that is through compliance. So when the market is regulated finally, in probably 2020 Neverland, then actually the bar will rise in regards to basics, and we can actually get and attract better people to the industry, because we're going to lose a lot of people out of our industry after COVID-19. So we need to replace them, but we're going to replace them if we can attract the right people.
Okay.
Can I just ask, in terms of, you mentioned there's psychometric tests and things like that, how have the best recruitment agents changed over the years? What are you doing now that's different to what you might have been doing just a few years ago?
Yeah, I think if you go back to the early noughties, when I first set up really and on a desk, it was yellow pages and a phone, 1980s boiler room, off we go, and there you go really. I think now we dive into a lot more of understanding of the candidate. So like I said, really go understanding what their motivations are for moving. There's so much more available on the market. So you can use the internet to find out market share. I can understand in any town in the country what agents got the market share. I can then go after them individuals. Most agents have got Meet the Team pages. We've got LinkedIn. We've got loads of different tools to our disposal to really find the right people. And again, video is key for us. So we video every single candidate before COVID-19, but even more so now, before we even send them out.
You do that with their permission, yeah?
With their permission, we do that. And actually, look, if I headhunt somebody, they're less likely to do a video than if they do want to do it. Yeah, I do definitely ask them, Simon, first. That wouldn't be inappropriate.
Okay. We're getting some questions coming in. Here's one from a chap called Christopher Watkin. Never heard of him. Do you think the overall quality of valuers and listers has reduced in the last 20 years, Josh?
Yeah, I think we're guilty as an industry of over promoting people. There's a good negotiator, and they're good at negotiating. They should stay being a good negotiator. But some people are going, the next level is a valuer, and we've over promoted, I think, as an industry, lots of negotiators to valuers when they're not ready yet. So, Chris, I think you're right. The quality, I think, has changed. A valuer is a different animal to a negotiator, and a different probably animal to a manager. And sometimes we give too many jobs to one person, and guess what? The service isn't great.
Yeah, that shows that, you see, I need to be out there employing, recruiting people with all sorts of weird and wonderful ways. Free steak bakes every day or something like that. The way forward, I'm going to clear up. Okay, Josh, look, have you got any closing statements here? Because I'm really appreciative you've given us an hour of your time here. I think everyone will find that really useful. Thank you, by the way, to everyone who's been watching as well. I will obviously be forwarding this on later. You got any closing statement there, Josh?
No, look, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you inviting me on. If anybody's got any questions, I can help anybody from a candidate or client's point of view, please pick up the phone, and I'll share the information with you, Simon, for you to send out.
Certainly happy to do that, and make sure everyone goes to have a look at Rayner personnel on the Kerfuffle website. So thank you, Josh. Catch up with you soon for that point, mate.
Cheers, Bailey.
Cheers. Thanks a lot. Bye, mate.
Bye.